You're not a bad leader. You're smart, capable, and care deeply about your business. But if you're honest, you've made decisions over the past year you wish you could take back. Maybe you hired the wrong person, chased a shiny opportunity that became a distraction, or made a strategic call based on a gut feel that didn't pan out. And now you're wondering, how did I get this wrong? Here's the truth. You're not making bad decisions because you're a bad leader. You're making bad decisions because you're missing 3 critical things. And without those 3 things, even the smartest business owners end up guessing, reacting, and second-guessing themselves over and over again. I'm Jacqueline Jensen, a professional EOS implementer working with business owners across North Metro Atlanta and Georgia. Today, I'm going to show you why smart people make poor decisions and what's really missing when that happens, and how to build a framework that helps you make faster, better, more confident decisions every single time. Before I became an EOS implementer, I made plenty of decisions I regretted. I was managing a country club with 120 employees, working 70 to 80 hours a week, constantly feeling one step behind. I'd make a call, then question it. I'd try to get buy-in from my team, but we weren't aligned on vision. So every conversation turned into a debate. I look at last month's financials and realized we were off track, but by then it was too late to fix it. I was flying blind and it showed. That all changed when I discovered EOS, the entrepreneurial operating system, and self-implemented it in 2019. Suddenly, I had clarity on where we were going. I had data that told me if we were on track every single week, not every month. And I had a process for solving issues that kept us moving forward instead of circling the same problems forever. My decision-making got sharper. My team got aligned, and the results followed. Turnover dropped by 34%. We more than doubled our profits in less than 3 years, and I stopped second-guessing myself because I had a system to guide me. Today, I'm going to break down the 3 reasons smart owners make poor decisions, and I'm going to show you how EOS fixes each of them. Let's get into it. Business owners make a lot of decisions. Research shows that the average executive makes over 100 decisions per day. Some are small, some are big. And here's the problem. The more decisions you make, the worse your decision-making gets. It's called decision fatigue. Your brain has a limited amount of willpower and cognitive energy. Every decision drains a little bit of that energy. By the end of the day, you're exhausted and your ability to think clearly is shot. Add that to the fact that you're drowning in information. Data from your accounting software, opinions from your leadership team, advice from your coach, articles, podcasts. Everyone has an idea about what you should do, and none of it is organized or filtered. So you're overwhelmed, paralyzed, or worse, you make a decision just to get it off your plate, even if it's the wrong one. Does this sound familiar? You're in a meeting, someone raises an issue, you don't have the data you need, so you table it. Then the same issue comes up next week, and the week after that, or you make a decision based on gut feel, and 3 months later, you realize it was a mistake. This is what I see all the time in Georgia businesses. Smart owners who care about their companies, but they're making decisions in the dark, and it's costing them time, money, momentum, and confidence. The first reason smart owners make poor decisions is because they don't have a clear shared vision. And I'm not talking about a vision statement on your website that nobody reads. I'm talking about a real, tangible vision that answers the most important questions about your business. And that vision is shared by everyone on your leadership team and throughout the organization. Every decision you make should move closer to where you want to go. But if you don't know where you're going, or if your team has different ideas about where you're going, every decision becomes a debate. You waste time and energy arguing about priorities, direction, and strategy. And by the time you finally make a call, you've lost momentum trust, and alignment. Here's what I see constantly. The owner has a vision in their head. They know where the company will be in 10 years, but they've never articulated it clearly. They've never written it down. And they've certainly never made sure everyone in the organization is on the same page. So what happens? Sales thinks the priority is landing new customers. Operations thinks the priority is improving efficiencies. Finance thinks the priority is cutting costs. And the owner is stuck in the middle, trying to make everyone happy, but really just creating confusion. Decisions take forever because nobody agrees on what success looks like. And when a decision is finally made, half the team is bought in, and so execution is weak. When I was running the country club, we didn't have a clear vision. Every time we had to make a big decision, it turned into a battle. People dug in, opinions flew, and by the time we made a choice, everyone was exhausted and half committed. When we implemented EOS, one of the first things we did was complete the Vision Traction Organizer, or VTO for short. It's a simple 2-page document that answers 8 critical questions about your business. What are your core values? What's your core focus? What's your 10-year target? What's your marketing strategy? What's your 3-year picture? What's your 1-year plan? What are your quarterly rocks? And what are your issues? We sat down as a leadership team and answered every question. And for the first time, we all agreed on where we were going and how we were going to get there. That shared vision changed everything. Decisions got easier because we had a filter. Does this move us closer to our 10-year target? Does this align with our core values? If the answer was yes, we moved it forward. If the answer was no, we said no. Simple as that. Here's the phrase I want you to remember. People can't execute what they don't understand. Vision solves the fog. When your team knows where you are going, they can make a decision on their own without constantly checking in with you. They can prioritize their work because they know what matters most. In EOS, we use the concept of shared by all. That means the vision isn't stuck in the owner's head, it's communicated, understood, and lived by everyone in the organization. When vision is shared by all, decision-making becomes faster, clearer, and more aligned. I worked with a family business in North Georgia. The owner wanted to expand. His brother wanted to stabilize operations first. The CFO wanted to cut costs. Every leadership meeting turned into a fight. Decisions got delayed, opportunities were missed. We started by building their VTO. We spent 2 full days answering the 8 questions, and it was hard. There were tough conversations, but by the end of that day, everyone was aligned. They agreed on the 10-year target, the core focus, the 1-year plan. Suddenly, decisions got easier. Should we expand? Not yet, because a 1-year plan says stabilize operations first. Should we invest in new equipment? Yes, because it aligns with our core focus. That's the power of shared vision. The second reason smart owners make poor decisions is because they're running their business on gut feelings, opinions, and emotions instead of hard data. And look, intuition matters, but intuition without data is just guessing. And guessing is expensive. Here's what I see all the time. An owner asks their team, "How are we doing?" And people say, "Good, busy, things are moving." But what does that mean? Are you actually on track to hit your goals? You don't know because you're not tracking the numbers that matter. Or worse, you are tracking numbers, but they're lagging indicators. Things like monthly revenue or quarterly profit. Those numbers tell you what already happened. By the time you see a problem in a lagging indicator, it's often too late to fix it. What you need are leading indicators. Numbers that predict success, numbers that tell you if you're on track right now, this week, so you can course correct before it's too late. When I was running the country club, we tracked revenue every month. And every month we'd celebrate or panic. But by then, it was too late to change anything. We were stuck reacting to old news. When we implemented EOS, we built a scorecard. A scorecard tracks 5 to 15 weekly numbers that predict your success. For us, that meant weekly event bookings, new membership inquiries, member satisfaction scores, food and beverage comps, and staff overtime. Every one of those numbers told us something important about the health of the business right now, not last month. We started reviewing the scorecard every single week in our level 10 meetings. Suddenly, we could see problems before they became disasters. Event bookings were down. We could jump on it that week. Member satisfaction was slipping. We could address it immediately. That's what data does. It takes the guesswork out of decision making. Here's a phrase I use with my clients. What gets measured gets done. If you want your team to focus on something, measure it. If you want to make smarter decisions, base them on data, not feelings. I worked with a professional service firm in Atlanta. They were busy, but they didn't know if they were profitable until the end of the quarter. They tracked revenue, but not billable hours, utilization rate, or project margins. So they'd win a big contract, think they were crushing it, and then realize they barely broke even. We built a scorecard with leading indicators, weekly billable hours per consultant, project margins as a percentage, utilization rate, client satisfaction score. Suddenly, they could see in real time if their project was going sideways. Within 2 quarters, profit margins improved by double digits. Not because they worked harder, but because they made smarter decisions based on real data. In EOS, every leader on your team owns 1 or 2 numbers. We call those measurables. And when they review those numbers every single week, this creates accountability. If someone's number is off track, everyone sees it. And because the whole team is looking at the same data, everyone makes decisions based on the same reality. No more I think or I feel like, just facts. The third reason smart owners make poor decisions is because they don't have a consistent, disciplined way to solve problems. Issues come up, instead of addressing them head on, you avoid them, table them, or talk about them endlessly without ever actually solving them. How many issues are sitting on your plate right now that you've been meaning to deal with for weeks or months? How many problems keep coming up in meetings, getting discussed, and then getting pushed to the next time? How many times have you made a decision only to realize later that you were treating a symptom instead of the root cause, so the problem just came back up? Most businesses don't have a structured way to identify, discuss, and solve issues. So problems fester. Teams talk in circles, and leaders make decisions based on incomplete information or surface-level thinking. Here's what happens. Someone raises an issue in a meeting. The team starts throwing out ideas. Everyone has an opinion. The conversation goes on for about 20 minutes. And then someone says, let's think about it and revisit it next time. So the issue gets tabled, and next time, the same thing happens. Issues never get solved. It just gets discussed over and over until people are exhausted and frustrated. This kills trust. When your team sees the same problem come up again and again without resolution, they stop believing that anything will change. They stop bringing up issues because it feels pointless. In EOS, we use a tool called IDS. It stands for Identify, Discuss, Solve. It's a simple 3-step process that forces you to actually solve problems, not just talk about them. First, identify. Someone raises the issue and states it in 1 sentence. Then the team asks clarifying questions to make sure everyone understands the real problem. Not the symptom, but the root cause. Second, discuss. Now you talk through options. What are the potential solutions? What are the pros and cons? This is where you use the collective intelligence of the team. Third, solve. You make a decision. You pick a solution. You assign ownership. Someone on the team owns the action and everyone knows who that is. And then you move on. Let me tell you why IDS is so powerful. It forces transparency. Issues can't hide. It forces speed. You're not scheduling another meeting to talk about the issue. You're solving it now. And it forces accountability. Someone owns the solution and the whole team knows it. Every single client I work with says the same thing. When I ask a team at the end of our first quarter together what's working, they say level 10 meetings and IDS. Why? Because it's the first time they've had a consistent way to solve problems, and solving problems builds momentum. Momentum builds confidence, and confidence leads to making better decisions. Here's a phrase I use. High-trust teams solve problems fast. Low-trust teams discuss them for months. I work with a family business where the owner and his brother didn't see eye to eye. They'd bring up issues in meetings, but instead of solving them, they'd argue, get defensive, and table the conversation. Nothing ever got resolved. We introduced IDS. At first, it was uncomfortable, but over time, they got better. They started identifying root causes instead of blaming each other. They started discussing solutions instead of defending their positions. Within 6 months, the relationship was healthier and the team was more aligned, and the business was growing again. That's what a consistent problem-solving method does. Let me paint a picture of what changes when you have a shared vision, when you're running on data, and when you have a disciplined way to solve issues. First, decisions get faster. You're not debating priorities because everyone's on the same page. You have a clear filter. Does this align with our vision? Do the numbers support it? If yes, move. If no, say no and move on. Second, decisions get better. You're not guessing. You have data that tells you if something is working. You have a process for identifying root causes, and you have a team that's aligned and bought in, so execution is stronger. Third, you stop second-guessing yourself. When you make a decision based on a shared vision, backed by data, and informed by disciplined problem-solving process, you can commit to it with confidence. Fourth, your team steps up. When people have clarity on where you're going, when they have access to the same data you do, and when they see issues getting solved consistently, they start making better decisions on their own. That's when you stop being the bottleneck and start being the leader. I worked with a hospitality group in Atlanta that was expanding fast. They had multiple locations, great staff, but decision-making was a nightmare. Every location operated differently. There was no shared vision, no consistent data, and no structured way to solve problems. We started by building their VTO. We got the leadership team on the same page about where they were going and what success looked like. Then we built a scorecard with leading indicators for each location. Things like weekly guest satisfaction scores, staff turnover, and table turn times. Suddenly, every location was tracking the same metrics. Then we implemented level 10 meetings and IDS at each location. Managers started solving real issues in real time instead of escalating everything to the owner. Within 6 months, the business was humming. Decisions happened faster, quality improved, and the owner got his life back because his team was empowered to lead. Another example, I worked with a trades business in North Georgia. The owner was making decisions on gut feel. He'd take on projects that didn't align with the company's strength because he didn't want to say no. It was chaos. We built his VTO and got crystal clear on his core focus. Once he had the clarity, saying no got easier. He stopped chasing every opportunity and started focusing on the right opportunities. We built a scorecard so he could see if projects were profitable in real time. And we implemented IDS so his team could solve problems before they became buyers. Within a year, profit margins improved, stress dropped, and the business was more focused and stressful than ever. If you're sitting here thinking, I'm making decisions in the dark and I need to fix this, here's what I want you to do. First, read the book Traction. It's a foundational book about EOS that was written by Gino Wickman. You'll see yourself in the stories and you'll start to understand what's possible. Second, take the free EOS organizational checkup. It's a simple assessment that shows you how strong or weak your business is in the 6 key components: vision, people, data, issues, process, and traction. It takes about 10 minutes and it'll give you clarity on where to start. And third, if you're ready for expert help, book a free 90-minute meeting with me. We'll talk about your business, your challenges, and whether EOS is the right fit. There's no contract, no pressure, just clarity, and even if you decide not to move forward, you'll walk away with at least one thing you can do right now to make better decisions. You're not making bad decisions because you're a bad leader. You're making bad decisions because you're missing a shared vision, reliable data, and a consistent way to solve problems. And without those 3 things, even the smartest people struggle. But here's the good news. You can fix it. You can build a vision that aligns your team. You can track the numbers that matter. You can implement a process that solves issues for good. And when you do, your decision-making transforms. You move faster, you choose better, and you lead with confidence. I'm Jacqueline Jensen, and I help Georgia business owners run better companies so they can live better lives. If this video helped you, hit subscribe, drop a comment, and let me know which of these 3 reasons hit closest to home. And if you're ready to stop guessing and start leading with clarity, visit my website and book that 90-minute meeting. Let's build a system that helps you make the right decisions every single time. Thanks for watching.